I got some good news and I got some bad news. The good news, I am the bad news. Today we'll be talking about the big three, and then we'll be installing it in my 2011 Scion XB, the slap box. It's not a race car, it's a base car. The big three is an upgrade that a lot of people do that are in car audio because it improves your battery's ability to charge. Your amps are draining your battery, your alternator's trying to charge it, so you really want to let that happen as quickly and efficiently as possible. The way you do that is literally just by adding on to the stock wires, just adding, much thicker wire. The three that are typically associated with the big three are the power wire to the battery and alternator, the ground wire between the battery and the chassis, and the ground wire between the battery and the engine. Mine's gonna be a little different because I'm actually doing the big four, because I'm also doing a ground between the battery and the alternator. And instead of doing the ground from the battery to the engine, I'm doing a ground from the chassis to the engine, just because that's how my car is stock. And like I said, you're adding to the stock setup rather than taking it out and replacing it. To do this, obviously you're gonna need the wire, you're gonna need some heat shrink and some ring terminals. I use Sky-Hi Car Audio 0 gauge wire. It allows for more than what I have now so that I can upgrade without needing to upgrade my big three yet again. And I use ring terminals that I got from 3 different sources, one of which being Sky-Hi. For tools, you'll need a few. You'll need something to cut the wire, which if it's 0 gauge, you need something pretty heavy duty. Something to cut the actual shielding around the wire, so just like a regular razor will work. And then a heat gun to heat up the heat shield. And I use a hydraulic crimper. This is in no way me saying go buy this. To actually crimp the heat shield onto the 0 gauge wire, but I'll show you that in the video. It's a really easy process. I'm not gonna show you every little step, but I'll show you like the details and stuff that you really need to know so that you can do yours. Because this, it took a little bit of time. I lost a bolt, like it was just a whole big thing. The footage is shot over a couple of days, so don't mind the continuity issues. I'm gonna teach you how to do it. I'm gonna show you what I did, and then we're gonna show you the test drive. Yeah, let's get into it. So yeah, the first step's gonna be see how much of the shielding we need to remove, and I just kind of eyeball it. Doesn't have to be super precise. It's only a fire hazard if you get it wrong. You gotta be careful when cutting through the shielding because you don't want to cut through the copper. Shit's expensive. And what I do is I push it down till you can just barely feel the copper and then kind of roll it. That's a technique I learned in the military. Not a single strand of copper, you have to take my word for it. So that's the part we removed, it's the shielding. I'm gonna shove the exposed copper into the end of the ring terminal. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's a little difficult. All right, just shove it on there. Let's take our YQK70 hydraulic crimping tool from Amazon. 60 bucks or something like that. And I think this is actually the wrong size, so I might be making a big mistake here, but let's see for science. All right, but let's see. Oh yeah, that's what I wanted. There's no doubt about that, that's crimped. That's like one solid piece of copper now, yeah. Then we'll put some heat shrink. Actually, since this one's going to the alternator, I actually want those ones to be fancy, so I'm gonna use the Sky-Hi stuff. So go on this end. All right, there we go. That one's done. Alternator ground to battery ground. It's gonna be a 5/16. That's fucking solid. That is both ends of the alternator to battery ground. I guess next, alternator to battery positive. Now to lock it on down. And that is our alternator to battery positive. It is the next day now, ready to get this car back on the road. We've got the battery to the chassis, alternator to battery ground, battery to the engine, and alternator to battery positive. Boom. Putting it all back together. And then test driving, of course. And then getting like immediately finished on the box so that, there's like no reason not to slap now. All right, so before I actually get the grounds installed, where the stock ones are, I want to get fresh metal right there. So what I'm gonna do is take the Dremel and just, make it so it's bare metal. Yep. Here's like a preview of what it might look like in the future. I ended up deciding for right now I'm gonna use the stock alternator wire just because my alternator goes to the fuse box and then from the fuse box to the battery. So put the air box back in, put the bumper back on. I'm gonna push it out before I start it just because electricity, fire, it's inside. And then hopefully I'll be driving around today. I really wanna leave the house not under my own power because like I like riding my bike, but like, you know, sometimes you just want to like push your foot down and go fast. I think I'm gonna go with this ground over here in front of the front left wheel. Using a factory spot, that's where the fuse box grounds are. So I've been kind of wondering how I was gonna like secure these, the power and ground from the alternator. And what I'm actually gonna do, this little tray thing, so I'm just gonna use the holes to wrap my, my zip ties around. A little something like that. Want to wrap them in something, some lime green split loom or something. Keep them a little safe. Still need something for now before I get the split loom. So I'm gonna pull it tighter, but this is just to like give you an idea of what's going on. And this is really just to keep it out of the way, keep it safe. Plus it looks a little cool when people look under the hood. Nobody wants an ugly build. I'll go ahead and show you the engine to chassis ground before I put everything back together. So it goes to the engine, then it goes down, and right there's the chassis. That's the engine to chassis ground. So there's the alternator, goes up, comes down to the battery. Right now I still got the stock battery. I'll be upgrading that soon. Yep, there's my big 4. Well, plus that one down there that you can barely see. Normally people do the big 3, the ground to the alternator. That's the extra one. Yep, I guess it's time to get it started and make sure that everything works. It doesn't blow up and stuff. That don't sound good, but it's running. Sitting right here and holding it steady. 14.18. Alright, so by all accounts, it's working. The only test I haven't done yet is driving it. Everything seems to be good. It's even running fine now. About to take the maiden voyage, which is basically just gonna be to the gas station, put some gas in it. Still idles a little rough, but I feel like I understand why, so I'm not really tripping about that too much. It's not bad at all. I'm very happy. As you can probably tell. So far, so good. I mean, you know what? Really, like, I don't know why I would say so far, because there's not, it's good. Like, pretty sure if it would have been bad, I would have known by now. When I started it, I even had the AC on, so it started like with a load, and it did just fine. Started up just fine. No big surprise. I can hear my alternator. Now it's not very loud, but like I'm listening for it. Nice. It made it all the way to go get some gas and all the way back. No problems, no nothing acted funny or weird or anything. Like, seems good so far. Yeah. That about wraps it up for the big 4. Boom. Now it's installed, it's all working, everything's running. You should definitely watch the alternator video because it's kind of like they go hand in hand. I was thinking about making them one video, but there's so much in each video that they deserve their own video. So, yep, definitely check that one out and stay tuned for the next one. Check me out on Instagram at DaBadNewz, DaBadNewz, and that's the big 4. Always hear the bad news first. Look at that bad boy right there. Guess the next thing's gonna be to install this. Something like that to the battery. I'm pretty excited. Especially because right now my car actually doesn't work because I took the old alternator out and it's just, you need an alternator.